we've established our standing posture pictures. We've got those pictures. We can turn and we can look at them and see where we are standing in space. The ones that we're going to focus the most attention on are the ones where you're standing in your lateral view. And the biggest thing we're going to work on for this next standing neutral exercise is how we're stacking our joints, the main joints of our body, on a vertical line. So this is what you're going to learn as your landmarks. So the first thing that we're going to look for is the outside of the ankle. So from the outside of the ankle, we'll go right to the middle of the knee, and you're just basically going to take the knee from the kneecap to the back of the knee, and you're going to find the center point of that knee. From there, we're going to find where the femur, we're going to find the middle of the hip, but in order to do that, we're going to find where the femur inserts into the hip. The best way to do that is you're going to take your weight on one leg, the leg that you're on, all you're going to do is just put your hand on your hip and you're going to rotate your toe in and out, keeping your leg straight. Now, when you do that, you're going to find that bone that inserts into the hip, the head of your femur, is going to rotate right underneath. You'll feel it because it'll be a pretty large movement in that hip socket. So that will be the middle point of our hip. So once you know where it is, that's how you always find it. And then from there, we're going to go to the center of the ribs. So really almost directly underneath your armpit, but we're going to look for from the front to the back of our rib cage, we're going to look through the center of the ribs. Some people go the shoulder. The problem with the shoulder is sometimes it'll rotate too far out. So we get, obviously, if our shoulders rotated forward, you can see it's not at the center of our ribs. So we're going to try to go with the center of our ribs for the next spot. And then we're going to go with the ear, right where your ear hole is. So ideally, when we're standing in a profile, we want all of those joints to stack directly on top of each other. So what you'll find is if you look at your picture, the typical modern posture looks something like this. So most of us will have an anterior tilt, but we don't just walk around like this because this is very uncomfortable. So what happens is in order to neutralize that anterior tilt, a lot of us will shift our pelvis forward. So what you're going to see more than likely is the hips are going to be a little bit. So if I draw a line straight down, you'll see that my hips are no longer over my heels and my knees are no longer over my heels, which means that my ribs are usually behind my hips as well. Now, oftentimes what will happen to kind of compensate is maybe some form of a rounding forward, which will then put the head in front or in line with the hips, but definitely in front of the heels. So all we're going to do is draw a line to connect the dots between all of those joints. And then when we do the standing neutral exercise, we'll be working to correct those exercises. That'll come up next.